You know what exhausting? Everything. And I mean everything. Waking up exhausted. Going to bed exhausted. The exhaustion of trying to be better, do more, achieve something, prove something, become something you imagine you're not. And here's the thing nobody tells you, that exhaustion isn't a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're finally waking up to the most ridiculous game humanity ever invented. The game of trying to force your way into a life you're already living. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that the harder you try to fall asleep, the more awake you become? You're lying there, eyes clamped shut, ordering yourself, sleep, damn it, sleep. And what happens? Your mind starts racing, your body tenses up. You're now more alert than you were before you decided to try. That's not insomnia, that's the human condition in miniature. We've taken the most natural things in existence, living, being, breathing, and turned them into a project, a problem to solve, a mountain to climb, and then we wonder why we're so bloody tired. The great cosmic joke is this: you can't try your way into peace. You can't effort your way into freedom. You can't strain yourself into spontaneity. The very act of trying guarantees you'll miss what you're looking for. It's like clenching your fist around water and wondering why it keeps slipping through your fingers. The tighter you grip, the emptier your hand becomes. And yet we've built an entire civilization on this absurdity. From the moment you could walk, they told you, you must become somebody. You must make something of yourself. You must try, achieve, improve, succeed. But become what? Make what? Nobody ever says. They just keep winding you up like a mechanical toy and sending you scurrying across the floor, bumping into walls, spinning in circles, convinced that if you just try harder, you'll finally arrive at what exactly? Happiness? Success? Peace? Enlightenment? Here's what Alan Watts discovered, and it's going to sound too simple to be true. The exhaustion you feel isn't from living, it's from resisting life. You're tired because you've been swimming against a current that was never flowing against you in the first place. You've been clenching muscles that didn't need to be clenched. You've been solving a problem that never existed. And the moment you see that, really see it, everything changes. Let's go back to the beginning. Back to when you were small enough that life was still a game you played rather than a problem you solved. You didn't try to be a child, you just were one. You laughed when something was funny. You cried when something hurt. You got hungry. You ate. You got tired. You slept. There was no gap between you and what you were doing. No little voice in your head saying, am I doing this right? Am I being childish enough? Should I be enjoying this more? But then something happened. The adults around you, well-meaning exhausted adults who'd already forgotten how to simply be, started measuring you, testing you, comparing you. Why can't you sit still like your sister? Why aren't you reading at grade level? You need to apply yourself more. You need to focus. You need to try. And bit by bit, a terrible idea got planted in your skull. You, as you are not enough. Not smart enough. Not good enough. Not successful enough. Not spiritual enough. Not thin enough. Or rich enough. Or enlightened enough. There's always a gap between what you are and what you should be. And the only way to close that gap, try harder. So you started trying. You tried to please your parents, then your teachers, then your bosses, then your partners, then your followers on social media. You tried to be productive. You tried to be happy. You tried to be present. You even tried to stop trying, which is perhaps the most exhausting thing of all, like ordering yourself to be spontaneous or demanding that you relax this instant. And here's where it gets really perverse. The moment you try to be something, you've created a split inside yourself. There's the you who's trying, and there's the imaginary you who's already got it all figured out. The trying you is always chasing the fantasy you, and the harder you chase, the faster it runs. It's like your shadow sprinting away from you at noon. You'll never catch it because you're creating the distance with every step you take. The Buddhists have a word for this. They call it dukkha, usually translated as suffering, but really it means something closer to out of joint, like a bone that's slightly dislocated. It functions but it aches. That ache isn't because life is hard, it's because you're trying to be something other than what you are, right now, in this moment. Watch what happens when you try to impress someone at a party. You start performing. You monitor yourself. Am I being interesting? Do they like me? Should I tell that story, or will it sound like I'm bragging? And in all that trying, you disappear. The real you, the one who might actually be interesting if you weren't so busy trying to be interesting, vanishes behind the performance. Or notice what happens when you try to meditate. You sit down with the best intentions. You close your eyes, and immediately your mind starts running through your grocery list, rehearsing old arguments, planning tomorrow's meetings, and then you try to stop thinking. Stop thinking, damn it. Be present, which is of course just more thinking, more trying, more exhaustion. The trying is the problem, not the solution to the problem. The trying is the problem. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, if I stop trying, won't everything fall apart? Won't I become lazy? Won't I fail at life? And that's exactly the confusion that keeps you trapped, because there's a world of difference between effort and force, between action and strain, between living fully and trying to live fully. Think about breathing. Right now you're breathing. You've been breathing this entire time without thinking about it. Your lungs expand, contract, expand again. Oxygen flows in, carbon dioxide flows out. The whole magnificent system operates without you having to micromanage it. Now try to breathe. Really try. Take conscious control. Force each breath. In, out, in, out. Notice what happens. It becomes work. It becomes exhausting. And the moment you stop trying and let your body breathe itself, it happens perfectly again. That's the difference we're talking about. When a cat stretches, it doesn't try to stretch. It just stretches. The stretch happens through it, not because of it. When a jazz musician is really cooking, really in the zone, he's not trying to play the notes. The music is playing him. His fingers are moving faster than thought, responding to the rhythm, the feeling, the moment. The second he starts thinking, okay, now I'll play this clever riff to impress everyone, the magic dies. The flow stops, because trying interrupts the very thing it's attempting to accomplish. And life, your life is trying to happen through you in exactly the same way. But you've got your hands on the steering wheel, white-knuckled, convinced that if you let go for even a second, you'll crash. Meanwhile, the car has been driving itself perfectly well all along. You're just creating resistance. Western culture has sold you a devastating lie. It says that you are a separate little ego, a lonely pilot inside your skull, and that life is something happening to you that you must control, manage, and dominate. Otherwise chaos, otherwise failure, otherwise you'll be revealed as the fraud you secretly fear you are. But here's what the Eastern traditions discovered thousands of years ago. What Watts spent his life trying to articulate. You're not separate from life. You are life. You're not a puppet that needs to pull its own strings. You're not a wave that needs to figure out how to be more ocean. You're already the ocean, pretending to be a wave, exhausting yourself trying to get back to the ocean. Every single thing you're trying to become, you already are. You're trying to become peaceful, but peace is your nature when you stop agitating yourself. You're trying to become confident, but confidence is just the absence of self-doubt, and self-doubt only exists when you're comparing yourself to some imaginary standard. You're trying to become whole, but you've never been broken. You just believed the story that you were. The trying creates the lack. The seeking creates the seeker. The striving creates the person who hasn't arrived yet. It's like wearing glasses and spending your whole life looking for your glasses. You've been standing on the shore, desperately digging for water. You've been inside the house, knocking on the door, waiting for someone to let you in. And one day, maybe today, maybe right now, you'll get so exhausted from all the trying that you'll just stop. And in that moment of stopping, you'll notice something extraordinary. You're already home. You've always been home. The door was never locked. You were just too busy knocking to turn the handle. So what happens when you finally hit that wall? When you've tried so hard for so long that you just can't anymore? When you wake up one morning and the thought of another day of self-improvement makes you want to crawl back under the covers? When you're too tired to keep the mask on, too tired to maintain the performance, too tired to give a damn about becoming a better version of yourself? Most people think that's rock bottom. The therapists call it burnout. The spiritual teachers call it the dark night of the soul. But here's what nobody tells you, that exhaustion is grace. It's life's way of saying, okay, you've tried it your way long enough. Now let's see what happens when you get out of the way. Because something very strange occurs when you're too tired to try anymore. The world doesn't end. You don't dissolve into chaos. In fact, things start happening on their own. You wake up, and somehow you get out of bed without having a motivational conversation with yourself. You brush your teeth without a 5-point plan for optimal dental hygiene. You have a conversation and you're actually in the conversation instead of monitoring how well you're conversing. It's like you've been driving with the emergency brake on your entire life. grinding forward, engine screaming, wondering why everything feels so hard. And suddenly the brake releases. The car doesn't speed out of control. It just glides, moves naturally, responds to the road. Watch a child learning to ride a bicycle. At first, they're trying, wobbling, overcorrecting, gripping the handlebars like they're hanging off a cliff. And then something clicks. They stop trying to balance and they just balance. They stop thinking about pedaling and they just pedal. The trying was actually preventing the very thing they were trying to do. The body knew how to balance all along. It was the mind interference that kept knocking them over. You've been that child your whole adult life, wobbling through existence, overcorrecting, trying to stay balanced while the very trying throws you off balance. And when exhaustion finally shuts down the trying mechanism, you discover something shocking. You can ride. You've always been able to ride. The struggle was optional. Now here's where it gets really interesting. When you stop trying, you start noticing things. You notice that your heart has been beating without your permission for decades. Your cells have been dividing. Your hair has been growing. Your wounds have been healing, all without consulting you. Your body is running an operation so complex, so intelligent, that if you had to consciously manage it for even 5 minutes, you'd be dead. There's an intelligence operating through you that makes your thinking mind look like a child playing with blocks. This intelligence grows babies from single cells. It orchestrates ecosystems. It spins galaxies. And it's the same intelligence that moves through your life when you stop trying to control every outcome. The ancient Chinese had a name for this. They called it Wu Wei, action without action, doing without forcing, effort without strain. But we translate it as non-action, and everyone thinks it means sitting on your ass doing nothing. That's not it at all. It's more like dancing. When you're really dancing, you're completely active, moving, flowing, responding, but there's no strain, no trying. You're not forcing your body to move. You're letting the music move through you. That's what life is trying to do through you right now. It's trying to dance, but you keep stopping the music to check if you're dancing correctly. And here's the beautiful part. The moment you stop checking, the moment you're too exhausted to care how it looks, you finally start to really move. Not the choreographed, controlled, careful movements you've been forcing, but something spontaneous, alive, utterly yours. The trying was never making you better. It was making you stiff. And the exhaustion isn't the end. It's the beginning of something that can finally flow. But let's dig deeper into this exhaustion, because something peculiar is hiding here. Something that might crack your reality wide open if you look at it clearly enough. Who exactly is tired? I'm serious. Stop and ask yourself right now, who is this you that's exhausted from trying? Where does it live? Can you find it? Point to it? You might say, well, I'm tired, me, this person. But look closer. When you say I am tired, there's already a split happening. There's something observing the tiredness. There's awareness of exhaustion, which means there's awareness, and then there's the story about being exhausted. And here's the kicker. That awareness, the thing that notices you're tired, isn't tired at all. It's completely untouched by the whole drama. Think about it. When you're stressed, something knows you're stressed. When you're anxious, something witnesses the anxiety. When you're thinking, I can't take this anymore, something is watching that thought arise and dissolve. That witnessing presence isn't caught up in any of it. It's like the screen in a movie theater. The explosions happen on it, the dramas unfold on it, but the screen itself remains unchanged, untouched, empty and aware. What you've been calling I, this tired, struggling, trying self, is just a thought, a persistent, convincing, absolutely compelling thought, but a thought nonetheless. It's like a character in a play who's forgotten their acting and thinks the drama is real. You've been so identified with this character, with its struggles, its history, its need to become something, that you've forgotten you're also the stage, the theater, the space in which all of this is appearing. And that character you've been playing, it's exhausted. Of course it is. It's been carrying the weight of a fictional past and an imaginary future on its back. It's been trying to hold together an identity that doesn't actually exist except as a story you keep telling yourself. But here's the revelation. You can't be the character, because you're watching the character. You're aware of the tired one, which means you're not it. You never were. When you were 5 years old, you felt like you. When you were 15, totally different person, but still felt like you. Now different again, but same sense of you. What is that continuity? It's not your body. Every cell has been replaced multiple times. It's not your thoughts. They change by the second. It's not your personality. That's evolved radically. So what's constant? Only this. Awareness itself, the watching. And that awareness has never tried anything. It doesn't need to become something. It already is everything. It's the space in which all trying happens, but it itself doesn't try. It's where all exhaustion is felt, but it itself isn't exhausted. This is what Watts was pointing to when he talked about the real you. Not the ego, not the person with your name and your history and your problems. That's just a role you're playing. The real you, if we can even call it that, is the openness, the consciousness, the infinite space in which all of this human drama is occurring. And when you recognize this, even for a moment, something extraordinary happens. The exhaustion doesn't necessarily disappear. You might still feel tired in your body, but there's a lightness to it, because you're no longer identified with the tired one. You're the space in which tiredness is happening. And space isn't affected by what happens in it. The clouds pass through the sky, but the sky doesn't become cloudy. Waves rise and fall in the ocean, but the ocean doesn't become a wave. Exhaustion moves through you, but you, the real you, aren't exhausted. You're just aware, and awareness is already free. The trying was always the character trying to become real. But you were never the character. You're the author who got lost in the story. And when you remember that, the whole game changes. So if the one who's tired isn't real, and the trying was just a thought pattern you mistook for necessity, what's left? What happens when you see through the whole exhausting game? Here's what doesn't happen. You don't become a vegetable. You don't sit in a corner drooling. You don't stop functioning. That's the fear, isn't it? That without the whip of self-improvement constantly cracking, you'll collapse into laziness, mediocrity, failure. But that fear is just the ego's last desperate attempt to stay in control. Without me, it says, you're nothing. But look at what actually remains when the trying stops. You still act, you still move, you still engage with life. But the quality of it changes completely. It's like the difference between swimming and thrashing. When you're thrashing, you're fighting the water, panicking, certain you'll drown if you don't keep churning. When you're swimming, you're working with the water, you're part of its rhythm. Same movements, but one exhausts you and the other carries you. When the trying stops, action becomes response instead of control. You respond to hunger by eating. You respond to connection by speaking. You respond to beauty by stopping to look. There's no calculation, no second guessing, no voice saying, but should I be doing this? Is this optimal? Is this the best use of my time? The question and the answer arise together. The situation and the response are one movement. You know those moments when you're so absorbed in something that time disappears? When you're cooking and you're just chopping vegetables, or you're talking with someone and suddenly 3 hours have passed. That's what life feels like when trying stops. Not because you're always absorbed, sometimes you're bored, sometimes you're frustrated, but because there's no split. There's no you watching yourself live, grading your performance, checking if you're doing it right. The Taoists talk about this as the watercourse way. Water doesn't try to flow downhill. It doesn't strategize about the best path. It simply moves, and yet it's powerful enough to carve canyons, shape continents. It doesn't avoid obstacles, it goes around them, over them, through them, whatever fits the moment. It's completely yielding and utterly unstoppable. That's what you become when trying stops. Not passive, not weak, but fluid, responsive, present to what's actually happening, instead of caught in what you think should happen. And here's what's really wild. Things start working better. Not because you're manifesting your reality or attracting abundance or any of that nonsense, but because you're finally paying attention. When you're not lost in the fog of trying to be somewhere else, you actually see where you are. You notice opportunities you would have missed. You hear what people are actually saying instead of waiting for your turn to talk. You make better decisions because you're not deciding from anxiety and ambition. You're responding from clarity. It's like your whole life you've been trying to open a door by pushing, and you're exhausted from pushing, and one day you're too tired to push anymore, so you just lean against it, and it swings open because it was a pull door all along. All that effort was aimed in exactly the wrong direction. But here's the thing nobody tells you about surrender. It's not giving up. Surrender isn't defeat. It's the end of the war you were never going to win anyway. The war against what is. You've been at war with reality, thinking it should be different, that you should be different, that life should come with a manual, a map, some guarantee that if you just try hard enough, everything will work out. But life doesn't work that way. It's not a problem to solve. It's not a test to pass. It's not a ladder to climb where enlightenment or success or happiness waits at the top. It's this, right here, right now. This moment that you've been so busy trying to improve, you forgot to actually be in it. And when the trying stops, when you finally arrive in this moment, instead of treating it as a stepping stone to a better moment, you discover something that sounds too simple to be profound. This is enough, not in some resignation, settling way, but actually enough, complete, whole, nothing missing. The exhaustion wasn't from living, it was from trying to live better than you were living. And when that trying dissolves, what remains is just life, happening through you, as you, without commentary, without comparison, without the constant measuring and evaluating and striving. Just this breath, just this heartbeat, just this utterly ordinary, completely miraculous moment of being alive. And that, it turns out, is all you ever wanted anyway. So you've stopped trying. Now what? Here's where it gets even stranger. You might think the answer is to go somewhere, do something, find the next level. But what if the deepest freedom comes from discovering you never needed to leave in the first place? Watch this next.